Western Sydney University is an encouraging place of learning to over 44,000 students. An analysis of census data in 2016 of individuals attending educational institutions in the Greater Western Sydney region compared to Greater Sydney shows that there was a lower proportion engaged in tertiary level education, with only 26% of people in Greater Western Sydney attending a tertiary institution. WSU offers a wide range of scholarships for both new and continuing students in order to combat this issue.
Historically, probably about 80% of our enrolments are students from the Greater Western Sydney area, so we do tend to focus a lot of our marketing in that region. If they are interested in Western Sydney University, we do have a range of scholarships on offer. But we have a large number of people that apply for the grant, so highly sought after and of great interest. The most important scholarships are the opportunity ones, so these are the ones where we take into consideration financial difficulties. So they probably make the biggest difference in terms of enabling people to come to uni who otherwise couldn't.
Specifically, an increase has been seen in donor-funded scholarships in order to encourage local students to stay, graduate and ultimately work in the area.
My particular area in advancement is very interested in donor-funded scholarships, and we've seen the rate of growth of those really increase in the number of donors that want to get on board and support our students. We still want to do a lot more in that space, but what we're seeing donors most interested in is getting that balance between making scholarships available to those super talented students that really should be at university, but there is a risk that they may not be able to attend university due to financial or social disadvantage if they don't have a scholarship. And so the scholarships, we've grown with those from about 87 donor-funded scholarships about 3 years ago through to about 350 scholarships available now to our students. So we've still got a long way to go with those. We've got 45,000 students, and if you think about 23% of those students come from low socioeconomic households.
20-year-old Josh Thorne has been a benefactor of the increased donor-funded scholarships, studying at the Campbelltown campus of Western Sydney University.
So I've been in Western Sydney for 2 years now. In my first year I came out of high school and I started a Bachelor of Health Science degree, and then last year I changed over to medicine. So about halfway through my first year at Western Sydney, after the first sem, I got an offer for Academic Excellence Scholarship. It's purely based off GPA. So I got the marks and I didn't even apply, they just told me I'd been offered it and I accepted it straight away, so pretty good.
Donors always have an academic criteria element, certainly with regard to the GPA that must be maintained throughout the course. So most of the donor-funded scholarships will still call for a 5 GPA, so credit average or above. And so they're trying to get that balance right between supporting talented students who may not otherwise be able to go to university. Some of our donors will be quite specific about postcodes, particularly in the medical school area. They really want to see students from Western Sydney studying at our medical school, particularly around the Campbelltown Macarthur area where our medical school is based. The scholarships do have a really strong impact in terms of attracting local students to this university.
So I grew up in Western Sydney, about 5 minutes outside of Campbelltown, a suburb called Lemire. Coming out of high school, I was tossing up between studying different universities, but yeah, Western Sydney drew me in just because I knew there was a lot of opportunity here. So it was a really good opportunity to stay at home, study, and be with the people that I went to high school with, so it was really good as well.
It is hard to overstate just how expensive university is, with the 2017 budget last year increasing university fees at 1.8% as of 2018 and 7.5% by 2022. The most expensive course, a 6-year medical degree, which unfortunately for Josh would cost $75,000.
Scholarships and grants and bursaries are vital for Western Sydney University students. Many of our students come from low socioeconomic households, probably about 23% of them. Things like textbooks, being able to buy a laptop, to put food on the table, to pay for transport to and from university, to pay for rent. So it's really basic cost of living expenses that are the barriers for them.
Josh's scholarship enables him access to $5,000 a year in order to assist him in his studies.
It's been really helpful just because I only have to work 1 day a week now on the Sundays, and I actually live with my sister, so I pay rent, and it's just made it a lot easier just to get by like that.
The increase in donor-funded scholarships for medical courses on offer at UWS has ultimately contributed to the end game of keeping local students and graduates remaining in the Western Sydney region.
Even things like our medical school, which with only 5 or 6 graduating years now, it's quite a young medical school. 70% of graduates from that program are either currently working in Western Sydney or intending, after they finish their placements, to come back and work in Western Sydney. We're actually the biggest provider to the health workforce in Western Sydney are graduates from this university.
So at the moment, I'm hoping to become a GP, hopefully in the region. I know there's a lot of need for that kind of thing here in Western Sydney, and the opportunities that I've been offered here have been really great, so I'd love to stay and continue working here.
What we're really seeing are graduate doctors coming out with a real social conscience. They're not necessarily looking at being specialists that live and work on Macquarie Street dealing with a wealthy population. They're actually wanting to stay and work in their community and have a real impact. So it is really working.